Hello, welcome back to the chat today. Happy Sunday, first day of a new week. And we are continuing with the recount of Solomon's building or prepping for the building of the temple after he became king. Yesterday we read about all of the overlaying of gold he did on all the parts of the temple. The temple must have been, everything must have been covered over in gold by the time it was finished. And today we're going to continue some more about what he used, the designs and the materials again. So again, we did all of this in Kings. We are recounting. So let's go. Chapter 4. Moreover, he made an altar of brass, 20 cubits the length thereof, and 20 cubits the breadth thereof, and 10 cubits the height thereof. Also, he made a molten sea of 10 cubits from brim to brim. And I always say this was like a large pool basin. It must have been really huge because I think the priest was supposed to prep themselves in it. A large swimming pool. I guess that's the swimming pool of Solomon's time. Okay, of 10 cubits from brim to brim, round in compass, and 5 cubits the height thereof, and a line of 30 cubits did compass it round about. And under it was the similitude of oxen, which did compass it round about, 10 in a cubit, compassing the sea round about. 2 rows of oxen were cast when it was cast. Now, I'm going to say this. I one time went to visit a Mormon temple in Hawaii, and they said they had a place up in the temple where I guess only people of that denomination could really go into because we weren't allowed to go in there. And they said they did baptisms of the dead there and that it had an ox. And I saw a picture of one after that, and it had this description. Not as many oxen, but there was an ox of some sort of cattle, cow, something under the basin where they did their baptisms. And I said, interesting. Okay, verse 4. It stood upon 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north, 3 looking toward the west, 3 looking toward the south, and 3 looking toward the east. And the sea was set above upon them, and all their hinder parts were inward. So their buttocks were facing inside, and their faces outside. And the thickness of it was an handbreadth, and the brim of it like the work of the brim of a cup, with flowers of lilies, and it received and held 3,000 baths. Now, 3,000 baths must be the quantity of water that it held in it. Okay, like I said, this was a swimming pool. it was a swimming pool, except it located in the temple for the priests' use. Verse 6, he made also 10 lavers, and put 5 on the right hand and 5 on the left to wash in them. Such things as they offered for the burnt offering, they washed in them. But the sea was for the priests to wash in, like I said. And he made 10 candlesticks of gold according to their form, and set them in the temple, 5 on the right hand and 5 on the left. He made also 10 tables, and placed them in the temple, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left. And he made 100 basons of gold. Furthermore, he made the court of the priests and the great court, and doors for the court, and overlaid the doors of them with brass. And he set the sea on the right side of the east end over against the south. And Huram made the pots and the shovels and the basins, and Huram finished the work that he was to make for King Solomon for the house of God. To wit, the 2 pillars and the 2 pommels and the chapiters, which were on the top of the 2 pillars, and the 2 wreaths to cover the 2 pommels of the chapiters, which were on the top of the pillars, and 400 pomegranates on the 2 wreaths, 2 rows of pomegranates on each wreath, to cover the 2 pommels of the chapiters, which were upon the pillars. He made also bases, and lavers made he upon the bases, or lavers, not sure which way it goes. 1 sea and 12 oxen under it. So again, they are describing the amazing work of the pool, which the priests used to cleanse themselves before their ceremonies, I believe. 12 oxen held up the basin, so it was large. it was a large basin. And like I call it a pool because it's what the priests used to wash themselves in there. um, Verse 16, the pots also and the shovels and the flesh hooks and all their instruments did Huram his father make to King Solomon for the house of the Lord of bright brass. So these things were made. I'm not sure if it was the king himself or through the king hiring workmen who were skilled in this craft. They made it to give to Solomon. Verse 17, in the plain of Jordan did the king cast them, in the clay ground between Succoth and Zeredetha. Thus Solomon made all these vessels in great abundance, for the weight of the brass could not be found out. And Solomon made all the vessels that were for the house of God, the golden altar also, and the tables whereon the shewbread was set. Moreover, the candlesticks with their lamps, that they should burn after the manner before the oracle of pure gold, and the flowers and the lamps and the tongues made he of gold, and the perfect gold, and that perfect gold. So what they're saying is this is no knockoff gold. This is no imitation gold. This is the pure deal. Okay? And the snuffers and the basins and the spoons and the censers of pure gold, and the entry of the house, the inner doors thereof, for the most holy place, and the doors of the house of the temple were of gold. Again, that must have been magnificent to see. The people were so proud of that temple that when they went in there, they may have felt like this was a piece of heaven depicted to them in the craftsmanship of the things, the vessels, the doors. Everything was majestic. This was something to behold. I would have loved to see it. But you know what? That the city of gold, the city of God, when the saints are, which the saints are to enter with the 12 gates, I think we're going to see something very similar, or it's going to be even better. It's God who's going to be preparing this for us. So, as much as I would have loved to see Solomon's temple, I'm still looking forward to see that city that has been described in Revelation. So that is the end of our reading of Second Chronicles chapter 4. Magnificent work being done that was done, because this is just a recount, that was done in building the temple of God. Solomon again spared no expense, no material was too good to use. This was for God. Okay, that's the end of it. And thank you all again for listening. Remember, faith comes by hearing God's word. So keep on listening. Take care.